Hey guys, it's me, Baby Jack 24 here, and today we're going to be reacting to The War of the Bucket by OverSimplified. Just for a reminder, I want all of you to know that all the copyright does belong to OverSimplified for both the animation and music rights. And anyways, before we get started, I do want to say that OverSimplified tends to make a little bit more jokes in his videos about history, but overall it gets the majority of what actually happened happened. And yes, I will be reminding you all that all the copyright does belong to him, and I make no claim on his own whatsoever. And yes, this was actually a true war.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. New merch available now, including a supremely uncool t-shirt and
Well, we've heard him. It's uncool. We shouldn't wear it.
glorious new character pin. Link in the description down below. Alright,
Ooh, medieval times. Not a bad time.
gather round. I've got some good news and some bad news. Did you say good news and glad news?
Nope.
I said good news and bad news. Very bad news. Word on the street is there's going to be a horrible plague coming in from Central Asia in the next couple decades that'll wipe out half of Europe. What?
He's not wrong about that, but besides the fact, no one knew about disease at the time. I mean, they certainly did know a tiny bit, but overall in general, that they saw more of it as like they do see it as a plague, but this was more of the time when they saw it more as like something that was killing them, and they didn't know what it was. I'm really not that good on the subject of the Black Plague since usually just skip that part. Like, I've learned about it for the 100 Years' War, but even then I still forgot about it.
Good news. Do you have a cure? Please say you have a cure. No. Even better. The good news is we've got a new bucket for this city well.
Well, that is good news. You need fresh water. They celebrate.
To understand the War of the Bucket, we first need to talk about this guy. He's the man with the plan, the host with the most. He's holy, lowly. He eats ravioli with the white cassock, matching pellegrina, and the most tasteful of fringed fascias. Come on, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's the Pope, the head of the largest religious organization in the world. But what if I told you he wasn't always the big bad boy powerhouse he's often thought as today? That's right. Throughout history, the papacy often found itself forced to wrestle against adversity and opposition to retain its authority. The earliest popes, for example, suffered under the brutal persecution of the Roman Empire.
Oh yeah, and just to tell you, this was the Roman Empire at its height. I mean, granted they did get a tiny bit more territory in Scotland, but other besides that, this is a pretty accurate representation on what the Roman Empire was about, which also spread it out during the time they spoke in Latin, so Latin became more of the dominant language phase. In England, it happened to become Old English, and then it formed into other languages. I'm just blanking out on a moment.
And many ended up martyred, such as Pope Clement I, who was ostensibly thrown into the sea with an anchor around his neck. On the bright side, however, he's now the patron saint of fishermen. After persecution finally ended, the Pope still found himself being heavily controlled by secular kings and nobility. For over 2 centuries, the Byzantine Emperor basically
All right, so quick understand on what the Byzantine Empire is. Pretty much after the Roman Empire accidentally fell, it fell due to barbarians and lead poisoning in water of Rome on where pretty much most of it broke free, and then it went to a different kingdom. It gradually moved more away, more away. That's just it.
basically decided who could become Pope. Then came a real low point during what has been called the Dark Age, a period where noblewomen controlled the Pope through, how should I put this? feminine charm. It was around here that one infamous Pope, John the 12th, took office. This bad boy would hold, how should I put this? Naughty no clothes parties in the Lateran Palace. And apparently, this would even happen. Come on, Zeus, give me a 6.
Yes, good. Speak the good language of the Greek gods.
Did I say Zeus? I meant Thor.
Oh, yeah, that's even better.
Ra, the Egyptian sun god?
Even older.
Who is it we worship? Perhaps you should read this, Your Holiness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth? Wow, this is wild. Pope John the 12th eventually died exactly how he lived, caught in the act by an irate husband who picked the Pope up and chucked him out the window.
To be fair, I would have probably done the same thing if it was in the medieval times. But since I'm not in the medieval times, I would have not have done that. But I would have done that in the caveman times.
The point I'm trying to make here is that often the Pope was a very weak and corruptible figure and was regularly used and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to increase their own power and influence. And there was certainly an element of that in the year 800, when the Pope and the Kingdom of the Franks were good BFFs, and King of the Franks, Charlemagne, was like, hey man, being King of the Franks is nice and all, but I want more legitimacy, and also to become the continuation of the Roman Empire. So what say in return for my protection, you crown me emperor so everyone will respect me more? Sure thing, pal. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. Charlemagne, King of the Franks, I hereby crown you Emperor of the West. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting this at all. What a surprise. I simply cannot accept. Oh, okay then. I guess I'll just put this back over here. Give me that crown. Charlemagne
This is how acting used to go. Oh yeah, I'm fine on battery.
crowning as emperor was certainly an historic moment, but it also created a bit of an interesting problem. It set the precedent that from here on out, only the Pope could crown an emperor, but the Pope was also very much under the influence and control of Charlemagne. So who really held the power here?
It's very clear on who holds the power, both of them. Well, if you see that the emperor controls on who to become pope, which is important because, as you said before, the emperor chose the pope to make him emperor, meaning meaning that the pope wouldn't have this power once his emperor dies, and the pope would have the power until the Pope dies, and then the Emperor would do it. It's a weird cycle that keeps on going through.
Or the emperor? I'm sure that this conflict won't cause anyone to die. Bishop of Freising, we want to thank you once again for visiting our wonderful city. It's been an honor. The pleasure is all mine, and what a wonderful tour it's been. I've seen the city walls, I've seen the towers, nothing could top that. Oh, couldn't it? Because we've saved the best for last. Ta-da! Yes, that's very interesting. Isn't it the greatest thing you've ever seen? Well, I mean, it is just a bucket.
Yeah. Little advice: do not insult that bucket.
Get him out of here! Over time, Charlemagne's position as emperor and the kingdom of the Franks gradually evolved into the Holy Roman Empire.
Which I'm going to tell you, this is the height of its extent, which really, this was a mess of territories. And what I'm about to tell you here, this is not even an empire. Literally, this is like going to be like the U.S. if it never got its states under control. Under control with the government. It's a nightmare.
Now, the Pope and the Emperor weren't such good friends anymore, since neither could agree on who was the boss of who. To make matters worse, the Emperor had taken to investing his own bishops and abbots. What does that mean? Well, allow me to explain. The problem for the Holy Roman Emperor was his empire wasn't really an empire, so much as a nightmarish federation made up of hundreds of counties, duchies, bishoprics.
Oh yeah, look at that. That is a nightmare of states. Imagine controlling all that and trying to keep it under control. Actually, fun fact: Liechtenstein, a little tiny estate I believe is somewhere around in this general area, is actually one of the last remaining bits of the Holy Roman Empire that That's true. I mean, its main ally now is just Switzerland.
More. The princes in charge of these local regions often didn't give the emperor their loyalty. The German nobility spent a lot of their time rebelling against the emperor, and the emperor spent a lot of his time trying to put down those rebellions. Can we get rid of them? Who? All the nobility. Get rid of them and pick new ones who are loyal to me. You can't just remove noble families from their territory. Please? Aw, okay, how about this? Some of those territories are ruled by bishops and abbots, and as Holy Roman Emperor, considered by many to be the deputy of Jesus Christ himself, perhaps you can choose who gets to become bishop and abbot.
What a known fact about the Holy Roman Empire? It's not holy, and it's not an empire, and it's not Roman. In fact, it was mainly controlled with tons and tons of miniature states. It was really hard to know on what exactly who ruled what exactly if you were in an area. In one area you might support the emperor, in the other area you're going to support the pope. It's pretty much a battle between the pope and the emperor, but more on on who does what. He's going to explain this on more later, but it is going to be confusing.
Hey! Now it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Uh, okay, good night. Say it back. And so it was. The emperor invested his own family and loyal followers into powerful church positions, and thereby was able to increase his own power and authority. Not only that, but the emperor and other nobility were also engaging in something called simony. That's when someone would come along and say, hey, I want to become a bishop and get all the personal riches that come with the position. Perhaps we could come to some kind of arrangement. That's right. Church positions were actually being sold to the highest bidder. And let me tell you, they probably didn't come cheap. It's gonna cost you a lot more than this. I don't think so. I've got a promo code. And
Alright, I'm just going to skip his ad. I'm sorry, Oversimplified. I really do like your ads, but I'm just going to skip it since I'm not not going to be advertising anything.
bishops and abbots, selling church positions, authority, and power. Wait a minute! This is depravity! The purpose of the church isn't for him to increase his own authority and power, it's for me to increase my own authority and power. What about Jesus, Your Holiness? What? I thought the purpose of the church was to spread the good message of Jesus Christ.
Well, I'm just going to tell you guys this. Back then, the church did not care about Jesus. They just care mainly what it is about is that the church wanted to increase its own power, and more use religion as a side tool in order to help increase it. But for the most part, that they did not follow this, and this is from most historical standards. I mean, they more started to more care about religion later on, for this time, no. This is where people were starting to argue over it.
How drunk are you? Very.
That is true.
Alright, the results for the election of Chief Magistrate are in. Giovanni Kablami, 1%. Spaghetti Jeff, 2%. And the bucket, 1,000,000,000,000%.
I don't think Italy has that much numbers, do they? No, wait, they don't. They don't.
Around the year 1050, a series of reformist popes came along, and they said enough was enough. They wanted to stop the emperor from abusing the church and investing his own church officials. How are you going to stop me so long as I have control over who becomes pope? Remember the circular power division? If you try to stop me, I'll just depose you and pick someone else. Oh no, I've contracted tuberculosis!
Well, good news. The Emperor's dead, and now you can control your power.
And just like that, the emperor was dead. His 6-year-old son, Henry IV, took over. And as we all know, child emperors equal opportunity.
Well, what he's talking about is reference to his Free Kingdom, Free Dynasty videos where it's about China and its complicated history over child emperors. Like I will get to that soon, but for now, no.
Church had an opening to take back control of the papacy. Hey man, I hope you don't mind, but we're changing the rules so that only the church cardinals can elect the pope, and you no longer have any say in the matter. You know, if that's cool with you. I peed my pants. Okay, great talk. Then, with the position of the Pope a little more secure, he held a big meeting where he drew up a big list of all the reforms and new powers he was giving himself. And it included some pretty gnarly stuff. Okay, first, I have the power to depose emperors. Everyone cool with that? Yeah? Let's see. Only I can depose or reinstate bishops. Yeah? Alright, no one can judge me. All princes shall only kiss my feet. Only my name shall be spoken in the churches. My name is the only name in the world. Okay, I think you're done. These were all some
Alright, I don't. Oh, yeah, this says he alone can depose bishop. Oh, wait. Say bishops in the matter. I really can't actually read. Read. Wait, is that an Italian? Italian or some German? German, because I know that the Holy Roman Empire was also in the mix of both German, Italian, and a tiny bit of French. So I don't know if that's Italian or not. Not, but for the most part, I'm not sure if they still had Latin around because I can semi make out what it says.
radical powers the Pope was giving himself, and with these reforms, the Pope was basically telling the Emperor, you no longer have the right to choose your own bishops and abbots. Only I can do that. When the Emperor, now a full grown man, heard the news, he was furious. What? This is madness! Who does this guy think he is? I'm the Emperor, for goodness sake! He can't tell me what to do! I'll invest my own bishops and abbots if I want to, and this rapscallion can go right to heck! I peed my pants again! The whole conflict escalated when Henry IV went to the Pope and said, hey, guess what, sucker? You're deposed. Oh, wait a minute. I'm the Pope. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh,
This is going to last forever, and luckily it did not.
wait a minute. I'm the Emperor. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh, wait a minute. Eventually, the German princes took advantage of the situation and they all turned against Henry. Henry was forced to apologize to the Pope, and the whole thing ended there. Except it didn't. The whole conflict, known today as the investiture controversy, would continue on for centuries as popes and emperors engaged in a power struggle over the emperor choosing his own.
See, look here. Due to some Holy Roman Empire breakage, that parts of it started to fall off. The area which would later become known as Prussia, that went off first.
Officials. The overall result of this conflict is very intricate and full of complexities, but in general, the Pope was able to increase his authority. Great news, Your Holiness. Your influence is on the rise throughout civilized Europe, except for this one city in northern Italy. Really? What's going on there?
Well, that is completely normal.
As for the Emperor, he found his realm thrown into further chaos and civil war, as the local princes continued to increase their own power and independence. This was most notably the case in northern Italy. Separated from the rest of the Holy Roman Empire by the Alps, the Emperor's influence.
Yeah, this is good. Well, in general, as I hear this, people most commonly think that geology and history don't go together. Well, the fact is, they do go together. And see, the Alps is actually what helps out both the Italians, the Swiss, and and pretty much what that does is that pretty much stops attackers from going onward into Italy and to Switzerland. Very much due to the fact that they would have to be adjusted in order to adjust to the mountain climate, then get out of the mountain climate and attack. Really, it's a natural defense that's hard to get through.
And control over Italy had often been questionable. In the current chaos, these Italian city-states began operating almost entirely independently. Their practical independence was further solidified when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa came down in 1176 to try to reassert his control. The cities formed an alliance, and with the Pope's support, they kicked the Emperor.
Oh wait, I'm not gonna lie, that is the key thing that you actually see in Vatican City. It's on Vatican City's flag. Like, I don't know that much about the Holy Roman Empire. besides a few side facts, but besides that, that's all what I know. No, and so far, it seems tiny bit good and bad.
Back to Germany. Hooray, said the Italian city-states. We did it! We're the best of friends.
And then they go into civil war.
And then they immediately began attacking each other. Why? Well, this whole Pope versus Emperor thing, in Italy at least, had infiltrated society to its very core. Across Italy, families and cities were torn between two opposing sides. On one side, the Guelphs, who supported the Pope's cause. On the other, the Ghibellines, who supported the Emperor. These two sides struggled for control as Guelph cities battled against Ghibelline ones. As usual, personal interest played a pretty big role, as pro-Pope Guelph cities tended to be rich mercantile ones who didn't like the emperor's taxes. Emperor-supporting Ghibellines, on the other hand, were often agricultural, where the expanding papal states were a larger threat. These cities would sometimes even switch sides depending who was in charge and their ever-changing person.
Yeah, this is pretty much what happens. Your city would always change no matter what. It's like it's trying to stop you from being attacked, but eventually you're just going to be attacked.
Interests. In some cities, brutal fighting broke out in the streets as opposing families fought for control. At times, the conflict became so tribal that the differences between the two sides were just downright silly. My love, I can't bear it. We must be together. But how can we? My Ghibelline family wears feathers on the left side of their caps, and your Guelph family wears them on the right. My Ghibelline family cuts fruit straight down, and your Guelph family cuts fruit crosswise. These are arbitrary differences. We shouldn't let them tear us apart. We can be together no matter what our families think. Wonderful news! Let's make a toast to our love. I'll drink from my Ghibelline smooth goblet, and I shall drink from my Guelph chaste goblet. Get out of my sight, you dirty pope-loving wench.
I'm sorry, I just find that one hilarious. I can tell you why, that reminded me of Romeo and Juliet, and honestly, it's just kind of funny for me just to watch it play out. It's not like watching football. It's more of like watching on who's doing what.
States in particular that got caught in a long-standing rivalry was the emperor supporting Modena and the pope supporting bucket-loving Bologna. These two cities had bad blood between them, as they had already fought against each other on a number of occasions. In 1249, the two sides took part in the Battle of Fasolta, after which the victorious Bolognese launched a live donkey into Modena to humiliate them.
Wait, they actually did that? Oh wow, I actually have to go and see that. I wish that they had a camera to show me that back then. So if they did, I would actually enjoy that. But you're about to see on why watching and raiding people would actually have an attack and how they can outsmart you. 3, 2, 1.
Decades after that, the two sides would occasionally take little day trips into each other's territory and mess things about a bit. In the fateful year of 1325, the Bolognese went on one such trip and laid waste to some farmlands. The ruler of Modena, Passerino de Bonacolsi, was having none of it. The Bolognese had two major forts protecting their city in the southwest, so Passerino...
Alright, so how do you... Like, I understand the southwest is a good place to keep defenses, but if your main enemy is on a road, right there, place at least a few good defenses right here, right here, right here, right here, and right here, 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 and right there. Because in case you don't know, if your enemy decides to attack you above the base and flank you from behind, and creating a distraction in front, which is generally on how flanking works, pretty much then, boom, your bases are gone.
In retaliation, decided to take an army down and lay siege to one of them. Hey, you dirty Bolognese jerks! You think you can raid our farmlands? Come out here and face me like a man! Hey man, what's up? I've just come out to let you know that there's no need to siege us because... Whoa, hey man, chill out. I'm trying to tell you... Whoa, stop doing that! I'm trying to tell you I'm actually secretly sympathetic to the imperial cause and I want to willingly hand the fort over to you. Oh, cool. Okay. Dude, what was that for? For betraying your people. And this is for joining mine. Mwah.
You pretty much live in the Holy Roman Empire, or at the very least, Italy, Italy during its Holy Roman Empire age. Like the Holy Roman Empire eventually went off of Italy, but for now, pretty much you're Italian and you're part of the Holy Roman Empire. So pretty much you're just around the same people in the general area. Not in the Holy Roman Empire as a whole, because there's going to be a lot of different people in it. I'll explain more later, but in a later video. But for now, let's just watch it.
Colonies were pretty unhappy to lose one of their main defensive force, but to make matters worse, then this happened. Hey, wait a minute. Where's the bucket? Oh no, it's gone! Those Modenese must have taken it. We'll make them pay. This is unacceptable. They may take our lives. They may take our fort, but they will never take our bucket! Oh wait, here it is. I found it, guys. It's right here. Phew. Could you imagine if we started a war over that? That would have been really stupid, and there'd probably be a billion videos about it on YouTube one day. Thank goodness it never actually happened. That
Well, for example, the War of the Bucket was actually a real thing.
right. The famous story you may know about the War of the Bucket, that the war started because Modena stole Bologna's bucket, doesn't actually seem to be quite right. I was surprised to find that the bucket was likely not actually stolen at the start of the war. And at this point, I want to thank and give a big shout out to fellow history YouTuber M Laser. He's the one guy I found who actually translated a fantastic original Italian source, and then kindly allowed me to use his work in my own research. He does really well researched and in-depth videos, and definitely deserves way more subscribers, so please head on over and check him out. The real reason Bologna seems to have declared war on Modena is simply that they both hated each other, supported opposing factions, the Pope had pulled on Guelph cities to attack Passerino, and Bologna wanted its fort back. And they were gonna get it back. Bologna had a large force, much larger than what Modena could muster up. So
Oh yeah, let's go back for a sec. Alright, so look here. So if we look here, that for the time being, 30,000 infantry members. Wow, that is a lot. A lot. Well, relatively, the cavalry is still the same, but really, I mean, if you take a look here, if people are better, as he says here, that these guys are better equipped and more experienced. But still, in odds like this, large numbers have to go into strength and the smartness of the army. If the army does not make smart or good decisions, pretty much then the overwhelming force would actually have the advantage. But if the small army is smarter and opposing thing is the strong and stupid, then you can make several false attacks, really throwing off their defensive plays, and then hit them with flanks. Very simple and very risky, but it does need work though.
So they felt pretty confident. They sent half their force to lay siege and take back the fort, and the other half took defensive positions to prevent the Modenese from crossing the river. The smaller Modenese force were struggling to find a place to cross, so one night they were like, "Hey guys, look out, we're attacking way up here in the north. Better move your troops." Oh,
Alright, so that's gotta be one of the most. Alright, so if we go back here for a few minutes, like few seconds, you can clearly see like the smart idea is to move some of these guys down and move these guys up and keep those guys there. What I don't want to do is move this position out of the way. Because if you think about it, if you need real big enforcements, then you should go, then they should go. But if you think about it, if you go up, attack, and everything moves up, then that's just going to create a flanking maneuver where you're able to cut them very fast.
attacking way up here in the north. Better move your troops. Oh, would you look at that? That was easy. And just like that, the Modenese were across the river. The Bolognese were probably expecting the Modenese to come and break their siege, but instead, the Modenese went for the second fort at Zappolino. Bologna couldn't afford to lose both of its defensive forts, so the entire Bolognese force moved to take defensive positions at Zappolino. When the Modenese arrived, it was already late in the day, and there were about 2 hours of sunlight left. In most medieval battles, at this point, both sides would set up a camp, rest for the night, and prepare for battle the next day. But
Yeah, that would be true, but at this time you're about to fight people. No, I usually don't think that would be a good idea in general.
outnumbered Modenese decided the only way to win was to deal a quick, decisive blow while the Bolognese were still unorganized and unprepared, and that's exactly what they did. They charged at the Bolognese line, and the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Then the sneaky Modenese pulled what must be the most predictable, yet somehow consistently surprising move in medieval warfare. They sent the cavalry around the side and hit them from behind.
Which is essentially flanking your enemy, which is still used today in modern warfare. And unfortunately, it is a brutal tactic, but it does do the job on defeating your enemy.
Bing bang bang, the Bolognese went on the run. With casualties in the thousands, Modena had won, and the Modenese cavalry chased the Bolognese cavalry all the way back to the city. After Modena's victory, they went on a tour of the Bolognese countryside, burning some stuff down along the way. When they
Alright,
reached the city
seems
itself,
nice.
instead of laying siege, they set up a camp and basically held a massive party for 3 days. The defeated Bolognese could only sit back and watch. As the Modenese force began packing up and getting ready to leave, they noticed something. Oh my gosh. Hey, check this out. No way. Are you kidding me? They're still using traditional wells. Hey, you dumb Bolognese. Ever heard of an artesian well? You can't even get water out of the ground without using a stupid bucket. It's not a stupid bucket. It's a wonderful bucket. Yeah, whatever, bucket boy. We're taking this with us. So Modena stole Bologna's bucket and put it up on display in their cathedral, eventually moving it to the city hall, where it remains on display to this day.
And I'm not gonna lie, that's actually a real.
Where it remains on display.
That is the real bucket. I've not personally been there, but I have heard of it, and I have had friends who went there and seen it. That is the actual bucket.
To this day. The two cities came to a peace settlement a few months later. Bologna would have to pay heavy war reparations, and in exchange, Modena would return all conquered territories. Modena kept the bucket. Despite being one of the bloodiest battles in medieval Italian history, it didn't really change anything, except now Modena had Bologna's bucket. As for the larger power struggle between the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, that would continue on for some time, and played a part in many major events of medieval history.
Alright, so oversimplified cinematic universe. Oh no, the Great Brexit War oversimplified. And that 28. Gotta see if that actually turns into a war. So far it hasn't. I don't think it will be due to the by modern I mean 2020, early 2020, where we're currently stuck in like a war of the coronavirus. It's annoying. Oh, I see he's going to do the PewDiePie versus T series video. So that's when I'm going to be old oversimplified. Don't keep me waiting. I still need that one. I do need to know what the 2019 Area 51 rate on it. It is hilarious to see people go to Area 51 thinking that they're able to easily go through. It's quite funny.
As the Crusades, the Protestant Reformation, eventually leading to the general separation of church and state we see in Europe today. So there you have it. We learned about the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, the investiture controversy, and finally, the War of the Bucket. It's been a long day, and it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back!
Anyways, you guys are also remember all the copyright belongs to Oversimplified. And anyways, if you guys are new, make sure to leave a like on the video and join the Kagan Nation. And also leave a comment down below on telling me on how well I did. And anyways, goodbye.